Today I'm going to show you how you could use the feedback loop within Tembo to give it feedback on the work that it does, or maybe you created a PR and you want Tembo to come in and fix it up. We call this the feedback loop. Now you might already know that Tembo has an integration with Slack. Basically what that lets us do is mention Tembo and tell it to go and do something, and it will go and do that and create the PR. This also works inside of bigger threads where it summarizes the entire thread context and then does the work. Extremely powerful integration that we actually see the most usage with. But how do you do feedback loop? Inside of the same thread, mention Tembo once more and say, hey, you forgot XYZ. What Tembo will do is pick that comment up and address the feedback. So you can actually keep the conversation going inside of the same thread. That is extremely convenient when you're creating your tasks from Slack. However, what happens if you created your task from Linear? There's a lot of times where we give our tasks to Tembo straight from Linear. So it's as simple as assigning Tembo right here. It wants us to specify a repository to work on. So I'm going to select monorepo and continue. It's going to create a PR and attach that pull request to this issue in Linear. Now, how do you give feedback in this case? We actually believe that it's better that you go to the GitHub PR. Same thing in Slack. It's just more convenient. You could leave comments here, but it's better to see the code, right? I might leave a comment here and say, this is interesting. Let's not use main-w0 because blah, 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 blah. You could basically go through and leave all of these comments and submit the review and say @Tembo. And then I could request changes. Tembo will react to my message here, essentially acknowledging that it has read these messages and it will work on these messages. Cursor actually said, hey, we suggest you adding min w0. Now, when I prompted Tembo within the PR thread, I said, review this one more time, figure out if there's like a small change that we could do, or is the code actually ready to go? So it then made those changes and approved one more time. So you could see here how this looks very much like working with a real human engineer, where you have this feedback loop. I'm leaving some comments and they're addressing the comments. They might not make the changes, but they might respond to my comments. And so that's kind of what we call the feedback loop. So when Tembo creates these PRs, it's not like Tembo is done, that is the starting point. Like you could now, if you wanted to, you could check out to this branch locally and continue the work yourself in Cursor, or if you wanted to, you could just keep mentioning Tembo in the PR thread until you're happy with the changes. I hope that shows you kind of how the feedback loop works. It works across all of the surfaces, Slack, Linear, GitHub, GitLab. Our long-term goal is to consolidate this experience into the Tembo dashboard, where you could do all of this through the Tembo dashboard. So I hope you learned something there, and I wish you happy holidays. I'll see you in the next one.